at some point in your trading, you recognize that there's an issue, okay? And you have to sit down with yourself and say, either I change this or I'm never gonna get past it.
Samuel, for people who don't know you now, tell people who you are and a bit of background about yourself.
My name's Sam. I'm a discretionary price action trader from Glasgow in Scotland. I run an educational company called KB Trading, and just this year we're taking our first steps into becoming a fully working physical proprietary trading firm.
Sounds interesting. So I want to go back in time first, and I want you to tell people, how did you start trading exactly? So what was your first moment with trading? How did that come about then? How did you evolve as a trader?
So my first kind of experience with the markets, with trading in general, it's a little bit unique in some ways and not in others. I actually saw an advert on YouTube for the platform Trading 212. Now, I was 15 years old. I'm in high school. You know, I'm not all that sure what I want to do in my life. I think I want to be a chemical engineer because that's something my father had done in the past. And so, you know, I'm into my sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, and I'm sort of pursuing a potential career, something to do with science, right? And I find this an advert on a YouTube video for Trading 212. I downloaded the app, and you know, a few weeks later, I get a notification on my phone saying, "We'll give you free £10,000 to practice with." Now, me being, you know, a kid and, you know, free money, whatever. So I open up the app. It's a demo account, unbeknownst to me. Of course, I worked that out pretty quickly, but I start placing random trades, right? Lots of, you know, abbreviations, lots of numbers, colors, you know, red, green, red, green. It looks pretty interesting, right? So I start placing random trades, swiping, tapping things, you know, doing whatever really. And after a while, profits start to accumulate. You know what it's like. The market ranges a large portion of the time. So on a demo account, you know, you buy something, at some point it's going to come back up into profit, right? It's the way demo accounts work pretty much. And so, you know, I would regularly check back on my phone throughout the week, throughout the day, and things would be running in huge, huge profits. I had no idea about risk management, nothing like that. I thought I was killing it. And of course, being in high school and being a sociable person, you know, friends around me, you know, they'd ask, "What's that you're doing?" "Oh yeah, I'm trading on the stock market," you know. So people are seeing it and they're starting to find it interesting. So as they're finding it interesting, that's fueling my desire for it. I've always been that kind of person who, I like things that people don't know a lot about. You know, I like magic for that reason. I like detective work like Sherlock Holmes and all that kind of stuff because there's a sort of mystery surrounding it. And I started to realize that trading was the same. Everybody knows what the stock market is, but nobody actually knows how to trade. And so, of course, as people kind of gain this interest and this curiosity, it fuels my desire to find out more about it. So, you know, as I'm progressing through my last sort of year of high school, coming to exam period and stuff like that, and then I leave and decide to pursue architecture, you know, after I leave school. So I'm studying architecture, I'm trading a little bit in the background, again, still just playing about with things, when I find out about signals groups. Now, I'm sure most people are aware of what signals are. You know, you copy somebody else's trades, you're going to be a millionaire. And so, you know, I'm on some forums. Actual group chats weren't as common at this time, but there was forums and websites where you could sign up and they would send you free trades. And, you know, as I'm in college, I'm taking these free trades and stuff like that. I'm using a little bit of my student loan and I'm losing money, right? Hand over fist, losing money. You know, I sign up with some other people. I'm finding people on Instagram who are talking about their success, young guys my age, you know, people aren't even 18 years old yet. I'm thinking, you know, I'm studying all week, you know, 10 hours a day to become an architect. These guys are making this kind of money every week that I'm going to be making every year, you know, after 7-8 years of study. And so it was very appealing to me. So, you know, I start following these kind of signals and I'm losing money. And it's around this time that I started to find out about the kind of brokerage side of the industry. I actually saw a video by Anton Creel, who was an investment banker with Goldman Sachs. And he speaks about the brokerage side of the industry, the conflicts of interest, all that kind of stuff. And I started to really sort of grow a bit of a better taste in my mouth towards trading. I had never been able to make money. And I thought, trading is for bankers. Trading is for investment bankers, hedge fund managers, people like me. Trading isn't for people like me. It's, you know, these educators, they're all scammers. And I really kind of, into 2016, I lost a lot of faith in trading until one day I discovered a video by Trader Dante. Now, you may know who Tom Dante is. I'm sure a lot of your listeners will as well. And it was called, I think it was the Stop Moaning and Start Improving video. And he really lays it out very bluntly. He tells you the exact truths about trading, right? And it was the first time I'd heard someone not trying to sell me something, not trying to sell an easy lifestyle, not trying to sell some, super simple system. And I thought, if anything, he's almost trying to convince you not to do it. He's saying it's stressful, it requires a lot of time. It took him 7 years to become profitable and consistent. And, it was all of these different things I'd never heard before. And of course, through watching some of, Tom Dante's stuff, I started getting recommended videos by, stuff about Mark Douglas, Dr. David Paul, Lance Begg, Steve Ruffley. And I start seeing this professional side to the industry. And that reignites my passion, right? So I think, Tom Dante, Steve Ruffley, these guys are talking about finding good education, a systematic process, all that kind of stuff. And so that's what I've done. I went to pursue some kind of system, some kind of trading education. And through that, I found a guy on Instagram. He was regularly posting his trades, and he was talking about how swing trading is your key to freedom. I've seen a lot of swing traders on YouTube who trade for 2 hours a day and let their profits run and all this kind of stuff. And it seemed very, very appealing, right? So I thought, okay, that's what I want to do. I took a swing trading course and started to realize the potential behind trading. Just seeing the whole concept of a slightly higher RR, so maybe a 1 to 3, going for that minimum. Even if you're winning, only a few trades out of 10, let's say 3 trades out of 10, you can still be profitable just using that RR. We started to get into like the casino's edge theory and all this kind of stuff, using probabilities. And I really started to see how mathematically trading was possible. Now, around this time, I'd also, while studying architecture, I'd started a manufacturing company out of my bedroom in my parents' house. I was building radio antennas. I used to play paintball. I used to play airsoft. One of the biggest issues we had was communicating with each other across a few miles. So I developed a radio antenna system. I built it. Before I knew it, everybody wanted one. I was selling these things sort of worldwide. Again, as a kid, sort of making these out of my bedroom, only 16, 17 years old. And I was selling, I would stock between 50 and 100 at a time. I would sell out, within 2 days of restocking, and the profit margins were insane. So as I say, as a young guy, I was making a lot of money, and I was able to funnel a lot of this into trading. Now, between 2016, summer 2016, summer 2017, poor risk management coupled with a lot of luck, I managed to make a lot, pretty big return. I took £8,000 into about 26,000. Now, this is not something I would advise doing. Of course, I need to kind of put that out there. The markets at that time were trending quite a lot, right? We had very good macroeconomic factors. Not that I knew that at the time, but the markets were trending nicely. And so given that I had learned from this course how to identify a higher time frame bias, if the market's making higher highs and higher lows, lower lows and lower highs, I could get in line with the trend. And I had pretty poor risk management. I was using like fixed lot sizes. I wasn't calculating risk or anything like that. I was able to get in line with trends. And although I was losing a lot, because I was going for minimum 1 to 3 risk reward, and I was trading with the trend and using poor risk management, I was also making a lot of money and really thought I had kind of cracked it. And as I say, between that period, I'd really ballooned my account quite aggressively. As I say, pretty much luck and poor risk management. I do really feel fortunate that it played out that way. It could have played out pretty terribly, but around this time, as a young guy, I've got a lot of disposable income from trading and from other company. And, on social media, I'm starting to, post about me and my girlfriend are going on holiday to Greece. We're going on holiday to Dubai and doing these kind of things that a lot of people my age are still in college, still in university. And, a lot of my friends started to gain interest. They'd seen me in school, trading a little bit on my phone. They kind of knew I was still doing it. They knew I had another company, and people really started to gain interest in what I was doing. And wanted to see a bit more about it. It was at this time that I started my own community, which was free at the time. All of my friends were in it, loads of people I'd started trading with, and we just used to share analysis. And, over the years up until now, that community, of course, is now a paid community, but we've accumulated some really, really fantastic and experienced traders, who not only I teach what I know, but I learn a lot from as well. Very kind of positive feedback loop of just information going back and forward. And that certainly helped my progression quite a lot as well. But it was around 2018 when I actually bought my first professional education when it comes to trading. I'd done sort of retail trader, retail educators courses and stuff like that. But I picked up some education from Tom Dante himself. I'd heard of him in the past. I'd watched a lot of his stuff. I knew that he knew what he was talking about. And, I saw he had some education available. And I bought some of his education. And to be honest, it blew my mind. It really cemented a lot of the things that I knew, but it kind of told me why these things were happening. I knew that price could fake out of resistance. I knew that, retail patterns like head and shoulders and double tops would fail quite often. I never knew why, but, Tom Dante, he's got 20 odd years experience in the markets as a professional and a proprietary trader. He's really been in, he's seen and done most things that there are to do in trading. So his knowledge really opened my eyes. And also, he's a discretionary trader. I had always been taught to trade, a sort of bullet point, checklist, rule-based swing trading system. And what that meant is that if the markets were ever, ranging or consolidating, it was very difficult for me to make money because I was trading, this swing trading strategy that had to have very specific market conditions. Whereas, Tom Dante in his education, he speaks about discretionary swing trading. He's, swing trading in ranging markets. He's swing trading in trending markets and consistently making profits. And it really opened up my eyes to, there isn't just one way to trade. There's a million and one ways to trade. And, it really fed and fueled my desire to learn about discretionary trading because, if you have a very specific rules and criteria based system, there's only a few markets that you can trade in. I wanted to be able to trade in almost every market condition. And, through his education, I've added some of my own stuff, taken away some, I've added stuff from other educators as well over the years. I'm very open about the fact I consume a lot of different education from a lot of different sources in pursuit of new edges and new ways to make money. And, that's pretty much got me to where I am today.
What were some of the difficult moments throughout your journey? What were some of the things that you had trouble with or you had to overcome to be able to become a good trader?
Yeah, I mean, where to begin? The psychological aspect really was a huge thing. I'm somebody that I'm a very competitive person naturally. And, I always seen it as when you grow up as a child, your mother or your father or whatever always says, stop being so competitive. You're maybe arguing with, one of your friends or whatever. Stop being so competitive. It was always seen as a negative thing, competitiveness. And I think as humans, and most men are relatively competitive, but as humans, we are competitive in nature. It comes from various biological factors, but we are competitive in nature. We want to do better than those around us. And it was understanding how to use that competitiveness in a healthy way, because competitiveness is a very healthy trait to have, but you can harness it, in a good way, or it can really negatively affect things. And in my trading, that competitive kind of nature manifested itself in hating being wrong. I hated being wrong. And so I hated losing money. And so when I lost money, I was very, very reluctant to learn from it. I would get very, very bitter, very resentful. I would have crazy mood swings. I almost, when I analyzed a chart, I almost felt like the chart had to go in that direction. The market had to do what I was telling it to do. And this wasn't helped by the fact that I got very, very lucky in my first year of trading, with live capital and actually trying to trade, because things were very regularly going in the direction I thought they would, and things were very regularly happening the way I thought they would. When the markets shifted from being trending to consolidating or ranging or just, not moving as fast, things started to not work out as well. And that really led to a downward spiral where I took a relatively long losing period, not in terms of like time, but it felt like every single trade I got in just went to rubbish, because I was forcing my own opinion on the markets. Something that Lance Beggs talks about is the way you analyze the markets. The market doesn't really care about the way you analyze the markets. You are putting your model of how you see the markets. That's all you're drawing on the chart. So really trying to impose my own rules on the markets, and that competitiveness leading to just me becoming an emotional wreck. One trade wouldn't work out, I'd feel resentful and angry. Then, that would lead to revenge trading or doubling my risk. That trade would lose. I would get even more resentful and angry. And it all just stemmed from that competitive nature and just being overly competitive.
So how would you say you overcome that? Is it just a habit to start being less competitive, or was it something you had to work on your mindset about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough to say I just had to stop becoming competitive, but it's never as simple as that. At some point in your trading, you recognize that there's an issue, okay? And you have to sit down with yourself and say, either I change this or I'm never going to get past it. I either change this or I give up now. And I remember driving, not far from where my parents live. There's hills behind where they live, and you can drive up into the hills, and there's like a car park there, where you can overlook much of the area around where my parents live, where I grew up when I was a kid, And I remember going up there and just sitting in my car and just talking to myself. And, if anybody had seen this, they would have thought I was insane, right? Or, but I sat and just spoke to myself. And I remember having this heart to heart with myself. It was like the end of the year. I remember having a heart to heart with myself and just saying, if you don't get this, if you don't sort this out, these are the issues you have in life. These are the issues you have in trading. This is, something that you're bad at. This is something you're good at. If you don't sort this out, you either give up now or you sort this out. And I kind of made a pact with myself, to resolve that issue, to get past it, to know exactly what I'm looking for in the market. And again, it's something that Tom Dante teaches, that I never really absorbed first time round. He says, when you know what you want to see, where you want to see it, and when you want to see it, you'll be able to trade, with discipline and decisiveness. And I really employed that, what am I looking for in the market? Where am I looking for it? When do I want to see that? And then devise a plan. And if you see that trade, you take it, and understanding that if it doesn't work out, it's not because the trade was bad, but because that's the law of probabilities. I know, for example, that my strike rate's 63%. So if we just round that down, 4 out of every 10 trades that I take could lose. And there's nothing to say that those 4 won't happen in a row. If those 4 happen and you don't react in the correct way, that 4 losers can turn into 8 losers, can turn into 10, 20, and until you've blown up. So it's really about understanding what I want to see. And if it doesn't happen the way I expect it to, move on to the next trade.
Now, tell me about your progression. So you got in a place where you were able to get some good results in trading. Then you began to show people around you how to do it as well. What was the next level from there? What did you have to work on, or what did you want to work on?
So from there, being profitable in trading is only half the battle. In fact, I would say being profitable in trading is only 20% of the battle. Nobody just wants to be profitable. People want to be consistently profitable. And although I was profitable over the space of a year, I would end the year up money. As I started learning about risk management and, the start of 2018, end of 2017, as I started to learn about risk management, I realized that I was now going to have to calculate risk per trade, right? And what that meant is I was no longer winning, 10% in a trade or 15% in a trade. I was now winning like 3% in a trade or 4% in a trade. And psychologically, that was very, very difficult for me. And so for a long time, that was a bit of a hurdle, because instead of making, a few £100 per trade, 150, £300, I was now making maybe £50, £100, really scaling down my risk, risking like 0.25%, risking 0.5%, and trying to do it how the professionals do it. Now, I found a happy medium. when I started, I was risking like between 5 and 10%. I dropped to risking like 0.25 to 0.5%. Now I risk about 2%. But, there was that time period where I was playing about with the risk, and the results were very frustrating because although I was winning, I would have these periods where, although I was winning quite a lot, it wasn't, my P&L wasn't increasing massively. And I was very, very focused on P&L because, when I got into trading, that's what it was all about. It was all about the money. And, that was a very difficult period for me. But as I say, being profitable and being able to make money is only a small percentage of the battle. You want to be able to do it consistently. And what I was finding is I'd have periods where, because the risk was all over the place initially, I'd have periods where I'd make a lot of money, and then I'd spend a month where I'd just absolutely erase everything I'd made over the past 3 months with maybe 10 losses because the risk was all over the place. So I could have a winning streak of 3 months and make, thousands of pounds as a young guy, and then in 1 month blow it all away with a few trades because I wasn't managing that risk. And that's where, I really got my head back in the books in pursuit of that consistency. And consistency is still something that I am constantly trying to improve. I'm constantly trying to improve. I don't want a 63% strike rate. I want, a 75% strike rate. And when I get there, I want it even higher and higher and higher. And it may sound unrealistic. I'm not a money-driven person. I never have been. I was always brought up to, I know I'm blessed for everything I have. I'm a very, very grateful person, brought up, in a Christian household. So money has never been number one priority, but I am greedy when it comes to performance, right? So it's like seeing your strike rate increase, I want that so much better. Your maximum adverse excursion, improving that and getting those better stops, all these little things, average RR, I want to see those types of things improving. And so, even until this day, I use Edgewonk as my journaling system. I'm an Edgewonk, every day nearly tweaking things, taking certain criteria out of my journal, seeing what the effects would be. I mean, just last week, I discovered that removing 2 setups from my trading results last year, if I just took 2 setups out of my journal, so there's 2 specific sets. I look for about 8 setups in the market. If I drop that down to 6 by removing 2, I would have made 26% more last year because 2 setups alone were responsible for a large portion of losses. Now, risking 2%, I guess that's like 13 trades maybe across the full year that weren't great. But if I just removed 2 setups, I would have actually made even more than I did. And, that's something that I'm applying going forward. But, that pursuit of consistency is something that I'm always, I'm always looking for. But that was definitely the next step in my journey, was trying to find consistency. And obviously that comes from having a good trading plan and, following your trading plan pretty much to the letter.
How do you balance the idea of like always improving, so getting these stats and kind of moving things, adding things, to just like letting the numbers play out and giving enough time for your trades to happen and the results to happen? Because you could be like over-optimizing things. So how do you balance that?
Of course. So I have a very kind of strict rule with myself. So whenever I change something, I have to back test it, right? So I currently trade 14 assets. I trade, 10 FX. I trade 2 commodities, so I'm trading spot at the moment. So 10 spot FX, I trade gold spot, silver spot, and then I trade the DAX, and I also trade the S&P 500, right? So in those assets that I trade, I have an Excel spreadsheet for every single one of those assets for every single setup that I look for. So I have about 8 setups that I trade in the markets on my swing strategy. And I have a spreadsheet for each asset and the performance over the past 5 years for each setup that I look for. Now, that spreadsheet has the maximum adverse excursion on winning trades. It has the average stop size. It has, the average take profit size, as the average time in trade, the average, the day that is being entered most, screenshots before, after, during the trade, comments, what grade was the level? Was it a higher time frame level I was trading from? Was it a trend line? And I can look at those 14 assets and understand the strike rate, the expectancy, the maximum adverse excursion in each of those assets on each of those setups. So whenever I add something or take something away, I have to go through And it's a very painstaking process to go through and backtest that over 5 years of data. You know, sometimes you're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trades to see if it works. And, you know, the frustrating thing for many people is they may add something into the strategy, backtest it over, 5 years in a certain asset and get to the end of that asset and it's had a negative effect. So they say that doesn't work. Not for me. I want to test that in every single asset I trade, because there may be one where that specific thing, for example, I found that my strategy, I use a 50 period moving average very often as a confluence. I found that in the DAX, using a 40 period moving average has a slightly better expectancy. The strike rate slightly increases, the slightly tighter period moving average, just little things like that. You need to know the data. I would never field something, I would never put something into practice unless I had the data on it. I will never trade a setup live unless I have 5 years of data on it. So for example, I can say that for hammers on the daily time frame on euro dollar, my strike rate is 88%. On Australian dollar against the US dollar, it's 68%. So I know categorically that doesn't perform as well. The way I trade it doesn't perform as well in Australian dollar against the US dollar. So what I'm going to do there is I adjust my risk ever so slightly, which is something that many traders don't do. I understand that varying your risk is, somewhat controversial, but any strategy for me that I have, any setup in any asset that's above an 85% strike rate, I risk 2.5% instead of 2%. And any setup within an asset that I trade that has a strike rate of between 55 and 60%, I risk 1.5%. Anything between that 65 and 75, I risk my 2%. As that's where most of my pairs fall. Again, that's controversial for most people because your losses are going to vary in size. But if I know something has nearly a 90% chance of working, I'm obviously going to apply a little bit more risk to it because I know that the outcome is more probable. And over time, that's that little 0.5% extra risk. If you multiply that by an average RR of, let's say, 2.5 or 3.2, that 0.5% is really going to exponentially increase your equity curve over time. And, something I'll do is I use equity curve simulators, which Edge won't provide, to see what the effect of that would be. I'll punch in the win rate, I'll punch in the risk, punch in the expectancy and see what the projected equity curve of that will be over the next 200 trades, over the next 500 trades, to really understand if these adjustments that I'm making are having a positive or a negative effect.
Definitely interesting. And these are things that are detailed that most traders won't do for sure, but that can make a big difference in your result overall. So I'm glad you brought it up for sure. That's awesome. What would the day in your life look like? What are some things you do on a daily basis in terms of trading, but also things that help you kind of stay top notch and up to your game?
So, I usually wake up around 6 a.m. each morning. I want to be up. I will typically leave to come into work around 7 a.m. But that morning, I'll wake up at 6. I'll get a wash. Again, as mentioned, I'm Christian, so I'll pray. I'll maybe do a bit of reading, have something to eat if I've got time. And then I leave. I'll make my way over to work. I'm here for about 7:15. Now, in the office, we currently have 6 traders, including myself, and they are our proprietary traders, right? We maybe get on to talking a bit about it later, but we're currently, running a proprietary trading firm. We're in our very early stages of doing so. I'll arrive at the office around 7:15, make a cup of coffee. I've usually looked over my markets the night prior on the 10 p.m. close here in the UK to see what the daily closes are looking like, to frame some trade ideas for the day ahead, right? I will punch that into an Excel spreadsheet, which I will send to my office computer, okay? When I get into the office at 7, I'll open up that Excel spreadsheet. I'll open up my MetaTrader with my 14 assets there, and I will look at those markets with respect to what I've observed the night prior, and I'll decide if anything's changed. I will then go on to, Forex Factory. I'll mark out any news events. Usually we have a squawk system in the office for our live news that gets turned on around the same time. Any news that's coming out that I think could be of interest is all getting noted down on that daily plan as well. I have on my Excel spreadsheet every asset that I trade and areas that I'm interested in trading with notes as well. Sometimes I'll put in screenshots too. And then I'll mark up my charts with anything that I need. And then those charts go up onto my top right screen, up and out of the way, right? Then the next thing I'm doing is I'll usually do a live recording for our educational group of the things that I'm looking for in the markets. That's usually finished around about 8 a.m. for the London Open. And then I'm straight over onto the floor to help our junior proprietary traders get set up for the day. Now, the really awesome thing about having those traders there, most of these guys are in their first year of trading, first 2 years of trading. I'm by no means an expert, so I'm learning stuff from them every day, the same way they're learning stuff from me every day. I have the advantage of a few more years experience in the markets than they do, but they have a fresh mind, they have a fresh set of eyes, and they will very often say, oh, well, did you notice this level on cable? This level below market, or did you notice this level, on Swissy, that's, got confluence with an EMA, and they'll often say things I've just not noticed. And so it's a very good kind of way to start the day. I'll go around and sit with each of them, and they'll talk me through what they're planning to trade for the day. I'll give my input, they'll give their input, and we'll kind of come up with that trading plan for the day. In this office, we have a big thing on accountability. At the end of the day, nobody should have taken trades that weren't in their morning plan, for example. In the morning, between 7 and 8 a.m. pre-market hours, pre-London, when the market isn't moving all that much, you're in a much better state of mind to think, because the markets aren't moving rapidly. You're not tired and lethargic from a full day's work. You're relatively fresh. You can make well-informed decisions. So when you plan what you want to do at the start of the day, what that means is that throughout the day, you see price rallying into a level. On your MetaTrader, you check your plan, have a plan to trade from there. Yeah, I have. Okay, this is what I need to do. Or no, I've not, so I'm not going to touch it. And it keeps the emotions at bay. It really helps keep you accountable. I never want to see any of the traders. We do an evening review as well. Did you trade what you took in your morning, what you planned in your morning plan, all that kind of stuff. So we get the morning plan out of the way. I then spent, a couple of hours watching the markets, and then I will move from there onto maybe some back testing, stuff like that. Throughout the day, we'll very often do presentations. Some of the traders might have some new market insight, something they've read they want to talk about. Lately, we've been doing interviews for our proprietary trading desk because we're expanding to a bigger office. So around 11 a.m., usually I'm getting pulled into an interview to interview a new junior trader, see if they're a good fit for us, and if we're a good fit for them as well. Usually break for lunch around 12. Try and take some time away from my desk if I can. I think it's important for your psychology, for your mental health. Many young traders, myself included, they're so ambitious and they're so hungry to be a trader that they don't get balance in their life. And you'll know yourself as a trader, balance doesn't exist in the way that most people talk about it. Balance should be whatever feels healthy and whatever fits around the people who care about you in life. It's very important to make time for those people. The people who have supported you to get you to where you are, you have to make time for them. And that's actually going to help your trading performance if you've got good relationships with the people that you care about and that care about you as well. So I do like to spend a little bit of time away from my desk, check in with family, girlfriend, friends, whatever, at some point during the trading day, something not trading related, at least for an hour. And then I'm back onto the charts for the New York Open, observing especially stuff like the S&P 500, which is something that I do trade from time to time. I want to see what the market open in the US, if there's any indications as to what's going to be happening there. Is the market trying to rally on the open of the US? Is it trying to sell off to the downside? You get little clues as to how the market will behave throughout the session based on how it trades from the open of the US session. So I'm very carefully observing things like that. Then, the rest of the afternoon will be spent back testing, attending to emails, all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, we are running an educational company at the same time. So I usually have a lot of work to do for that. And then, 5, 6 p.m., I'm writing up a full report. So I do this every day. So do all of our traders, a full after action report of what happened during the day. What trades did I take? How much money did I make or lose? How many trades did I take? What did I do well? What am I going to do better tomorrow? We have this big emphasis on doing these, after action reports every single day. We always want to be better tomorrow than we were today. And the only way to do that is by assessing your performance.
Definitely interesting. So what was the motivation for starting a prop trading firm?
So this is something that a lot of people ask me. People actually message me on Instagram, believe it or not, quite a lot. And they say, why don't you just trade your own money and keep it all to yourself? Now, in theory, that's very good. But that's working on the assumption that I'm the best trader in the world, which I'm not, We have a great office here. We have a great setup, and we're building a very good environment for traders to learn and develop and grow. So when we have this environment, I know that out there are traders far, far better than me. I want to find those traders, right? There are guys who we interview on a daily basis who some of the things they say to you, they bring some stuff into their interview and you think this guy is seriously switched on. What do they not have? Capital. That's it. There may be a young guy, they're in university, they're maybe 19 or 20 years old. They're so switched on, but they don't have the capital. Now, over the years, as KB Trading has grown as an educational company, something that many people really respect us for is, a lot of educators out here, they're driving company bought Lamborghinis, they have company bought holiday homes and wherever. And we've never done that. Every penny, I only started taking a wage from KB Trading at the end of summer last year. And at that, I take a minimum wage, take the smallest that you're legally allowed to take as a wage, right? Because I want to funnel every single penny back into KB Trading. When I first started KB Trading and started charging people, I always said I was going to be reinvesting the money into KB Trading. And over the years, because we're not spending that money on extravagant things, you can do that with your trading profits. Because the company money is always going back into the company, it's allowed us to build a pot of money that we can now make work for us, right? And the way we can do that is by funding traders. I want to find and train fantastic traders. And not only that, trading is a very, very lonely profession. At the end of the day, you are on your own. Not for us. We've got an environment here. There's 6 of us here. We're all very good mates. We get beers at the weekends, we party together and stuff like that as well. And so you have all these friends who trade, you get along very, very well. They're good at what they do. And as they grow and develop, we can back them with capital and we can get a split of that. So we are getting returns on our money. And guess what? I want to retire one day. I won't be able to do this forever because, I'm here 10, sometimes 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week. I'm in here on weekends, preparing for the week ahead. It really is draining. I feel like I'm getting old already. Sore eyes, sore neck, sore back, square eyes just from staring at screens all day. I would like to think that when I'm, 40 years old, I'll be able to take a back seat from trading personally, and I'll be able to coach as a full-time, as the majority of my day will be spent coaching our junior traders, helping them develop, giving them the money to trade. I will still, of course, place trades. I'll trade sessions, I'll trade days here and there, do a bit of day trading, a bit of swing trading, whatever. But I'd like to think I'll be able to take a back seat a little bit and let these guys who I'm training, spend my time. I love to trade. I will never not be involved in trading. I don't, love the sore eyes, the headaches, all that kind of stuff. I would like a little bit more freedom. And I hope that through building KB Trading as a proprietary trading firm, in 15 years, we'll be an established prop firm where I can, my primary role can be helping people, and teaching people. I love to teach people, I kind of love to coach people as well. And, one of our traders, who'll probably end up watching this, his name's Jake. He actually moved up from London to Glasgow, hundreds of miles, moved him and his girlfriend up to pursue a trading career here. And, for his first few months, he was just like constantly losing money. And coming into January, he's not had a losing week this year. He's made money every single week. And, this guy seriously has the potential to be a fantastic trader. And he's in his first year. He's just past his first 12 months. But that kind of stuff really kind of lights a fire in me. A lot of our members in our community, we have over 30 of our members have passed FTMO and are trading FTMO full-time. Young guys and girls who are, 21, 22, and they're their trading, with our online proprietary trading firm, and the fulfillment that gives me to be part of something a little bit bigger. I mean, it's just awesome. That's what I love,
So you take traders only in person, or you would accept people to work, let's say, online in different country, and why? I'm curious.
We don't have any plans to have remote traders yet. So it's all in person. As I say, we have 6 currently. We're also partnered with FTMO. So FTMO, as I'm sure most people will know about, are an online proprietary trading firm. A fantastic setup that they have there. And a lot of our members who don't want to come up, they don't want to move across the country, or, perhaps they want to trade by themselves, they trade with FTMO. A lot of our members do that. But, currently we have about 200 applications for people who want to actually physically trade in our office. So we have a 6-person office just now. We're having to upgrade to a 12-person at the end of this month. And we already have plans for 3 months later to move to a 24-person office, because of the demand for this. And it's growing almost bigger than I can, keep a handle on. It's just massively, massively growing. But, we're getting to that stage where we're just constantly growing and developing. And, I'm just really, really happy to see it happen. But, it is a physical in-person proprietary trading firm that we're currently working on.
How do you know if a trader has potential to be trading for a prop firm or long term and succeed if they're not already there before? How do you know that they're going to be a good fit?
Yeah. So what I say in almost everyone's interview is your trading ability is important, of course, but it's not as important as you as a person. And the reason I say this is you can give a profitable trading system to, like, let's say the way I trade. You could give my exact system to 10 traders, and I guarantee not all 10 of those traders would be profitable with it. None of them would be profitable in the same way that I am, because it's my personal system. We are a big fan of this discretionary approach. Obviously, given that Tom Dante is someone who, the basis of my trading education came from him. He's a discretionary trader. Now, when I teach it, it's all discretionary. Here's the tools I use. Here's, ways you can apply them. But it's really up to you. We don't like that kind of hand-holding approach. But when we interview people to work here, a lot of them aren't consistently profitable traders. Most of them aren't. I like that. If someone can show me, here's my MyFX book, I'll have 1 loss here and then 6 losers, 1 win and 6 losers, 1 win, 5 losers, 1 win, 3 losers. So they're going through these runs of losers. To me, that's a challenge. It's like, okay, so you're having a really good win and then you're following up with a few losers. Let's try and unpick, what is that? Is that because you don't have a plan? Is that a psychological thing? And what you find is that the majority of traders, just getting them to build a trading plan really just revolutionizes their results. They start becoming consistent. Maybe they're not consistently making money yet, but now their losses, they're having 3 losses and a win, 3 losses and a win. Okay, let's investigate those 3 losses. Did they fit your plan? Okay, well, one of them didn't. So now they're having 2 losses and a win, 2 losses and a win. Okay, what about these 2 losses? Okay, well, one of them was against the trend and you're a trend trader. Let's eradicate that. Now it's 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win, 1 loss. And you're just really starting to unpick these little things. And, as I say, it's not so much for us about what their trading knowledge and experience is just yet, because you can work on that. But if they aren't a driven and motivated person, it's very hard to make someone a motivated person. So we're looking for someone who's motivated. If you look on our website, when you apply for our proprietary trading desk, one of the questions is, do you or have you ever taken part in team-based sport? Now, that throws people. They're like, why are they asking that? They actually got the idea from Mike Bellafuori from SMB Capital. You've had him on, fantastic, very inspirational person. But he talks in his book, One Good Trade, about how many of their most successful traders have played sports or taken part in some kind of professional sports. The trader that I spoke about, Jake, who moved up from England, he played, football in a relatively professional sense. One of our other traders was a rugby player. That kind of competitiveness, that dedication that you need to be good in sport translates fantastically into trading. And, most of the people who we interview that impress us happen to have some kind of sports experience. We're looking for those young guys and girls who are really highly motivated and driven, and aren't going to give up. And the thing about sports is, when you play sports is about winning and losing, right? Every sport is about winning and losing, and part of sports is being able to deal with losing, being able to deal with winning, but equally being able to deal with losing. Losing is part of playing any game. And what participation in sports signifies to me is healthy competitiveness. Because if you can partake in sports, have a couple of games, whether it's football, have a couple of losing games, and then go on to have a few winning games, you'll lose now and again. If you can deal with that, and you're not taking it out on your team, and you are still able to work and be an asset to your team, I think you're going to be a good trader. And so far, as I say, I'm new to this proprietary trading, running a proprietary trading firm. I'm no expert at it, but so far that is that's working for us, where everyone we've taken on, pretty much, we've had to let a couple of people go, maybe they're not the right fit exactly, but that's worked so far. We're finding those driven people, those people who they're in here at 7:15, they're leaving here at 6:15. They're spending nearly 12 hours a day. And the thing is, when you're a junior proprietary trader, for your first period of being here, you're making no money. You're making no money. You haven't got a track record built up yet. These people aren't getting paid, when they start off, and they're still coming in and working 12-hour days. That shows us, and in 2 months' time, they're going to be hitting those results, and we're going to be able to fund them with capital. So really, it's just looking for those dedicated and motivated people.
So what can people find you? Connect with you or reach out after this interview?
Yeah, so most people will probably know me from YouTube. That's Sam KB. I do post day in the life content on there. I talk about losing, and a lot of the day in the lives, you'll see me take losing trades and stuff like that, which I know a lot of people find refreshing. You'll be able to find me on Instagram, KB Trading, or Sam_Kavanagh. One thing you have to be careful of is a lot of people make fake accounts pretending to be me. I'll never drop you a message randomly out of the blue and say, hey, you want to invest in some Bitcoin, or, buy this system or whatever. A lot of people seem to get caught out by that. So if you do follow me and you get a message from someone claiming to be me, be careful. It's most likely not me. I think people kind of piggyback the fact that I'm very honest and transparent, and so people trust me. So they think if I pretend to be him, I'll be able to scam people, which is super unfortunate.
Awesome. Thank you, Samuel. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the tips you gave for my listeners. And I think those are awesome advice, and I hope to connect with you soon.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much for having me.